we're in the beginning of spring really here in the UK, and there's an awful lot of shrubs that are giving you a huge amount of interest. So let's have a look at them. Hello, I'm Rosie Hardy. This is Rosie Hardy Gardening. If you enjoy our videos, please do subscribe to the channel. As a person who grows herbaceous perennials, I love shrubs to give me interest and backdrops to the borders that I create. Shrubs in themselves are brilliant, and there are some fantastic ones around and about in the spring. And the main thing that happens in the spring is you get flower and you get perfume. So let's start off with some of my favourite ones for the moment. I do love a Mahonia, and especially the ones that have got the slightly larger flowers, the softer colours. So this has got green buds opening up to a green yellow. It's a fresh colour, it's a spring colour, it's really wonderful. And they're on these long stems like this. And the other beauty of this one is so highly scented. Big, lovely, good, strong green leaves. This is Mahonia bealei, or Beal's Mahonia, and it is a cracking plant. Now it has a moderately upright growth, but then it does put on side shoots as well. And in the autumn, on older foliage, you get fantastic autumn coloration on it as well. So it is a cracking plant. It will get up to about 2 meters after 5 years of growth, so it's not a fast grower, but it's a medium-sized shrub. So 2 meters will be somewhere above my head. I'm about, I don't know, 5'4" these days, so just about 1.60 m is that. That's if I'm trying to stretch myself to be taller. But anyway, so it's going to be that sort of height. And at this time of the year, fabulous perfume. It's one of those shrubs which really likes to be in a part shady position, any soil type, as long as there is moisture retention. So as long as you've got a good amount of organic matter within that soil, so it'll go in clay soils, it'll go in sandy soils, go in chalky soils, all of those, as long as you've put in enough organic matter. So that can be farmyard manure, it can be your homegrown mulch, anything like that, leaf litter, just to give it that little bit. And if your soil's slightly drier, then give it an extra mulch in the year. But do be aware that the more you mulch, the more moisture, more food it gets, it can get a little bit bigger. So be cautious, don't overdo it. Like with a lot of mulching, you know, I'm always of the opinion that perhaps every other year with mulching, unless it's something that is struggling. But just, oh, it's a shame you can't smell this. It's absolutely divine. It's very sweet. It's similar to lily of the valley. The flowers are a beautiful size. They're really big, and as I say, they're just this lovely, soft green yellow, really lovely. And against that fabulous foliage here, a cracking shrub. Now you can prune them, do be aware. They're the sort of thing that you can, if they've got a little bit bigger, you can take them down to half height, they will start to grow from there. So a very amenable part shade plant, which is showing off at this time of the year. Then it's a good evergreen, glossy evergreen to put all sorts of other things in front of. Mahonia bealei. Let's look at this one. So this is a fantastic camellia. Now I don't do a lot of camellias, but a camellia that I can grow in a tub. And the main reason why I say I don't do a lot of them is because the majority of the camellias want a slightly acidic soil. And where I'm living at the moment, my soil is alkaline, and so therefore it will not be happy. So this is also known as the basket camellia because it is prostrate and hanging. So you can grow it in a big tub like this. So this is Camellia Quintessence, and this is just fantastic. It is a cross between two different species, Japonica and Lutinensis, and this gives it these wonderful semi-double white flowers. So there's more than one layer of petals on that petal. But the buds are this gorgeous sort of, not quite lipstick pink, but just a soft pink. So you get soft pink buds and then it opens up to these wonderful white flowers. And again, it's got a beautiful perfume. It has this wonderful hanging habit. Now, if you were to put it into the ground, it's not going to get much more than 1 metre by 1 metre. So that is not very big, but it will take it between 10 and 20 years to get to that height. So it's a slow growing, really fabulous thing. This one needs a little bit more food. It's starting to not be as green on its foliage. It actually needs a repot, but I'm not going to do anything until it's flowered. Once it's finished flowering, I will give it a repot, give it some more food. It's going to go into this shady spot, somewhere where it's not going to dry out, somewhere where it hasn't got a lot of wind coming past it. And actually that's beside my back door. So at this time of the year, I'm getting this fabulous flower and perfume every time I go in and out of the back door, which is the main door that we use. So this is a really cracking plant, Camellia Quintessence. Then you have the Sarcococcas. Now, this is Sarcococca purple stem. Now, I have mentioned this one before for people because it's just a little bit more interesting than your normal Sarcococcas. Now, this is a didyma type, and that means that it will spread a little bit underground, but it will also grow in a container perfectly well. They're also known as the sweet box because at this time of the year they are putting on these amazing flowers here. So they're basically just stamens with the flowers. It's a very sweet scent. Now, it's one of those perfumes you either love or hate. It wafts at you quite a bit and it is very strong, so be careful as to where you put it, but it is fabulous. But the thing that really makes this one stand out from its others is this lovely dark purple stem and then the good narrow green leaf here. Fabulous for this time of the year. And then when it is just an evergreen rounded shrub, it has that purple stem and the purple lines on the leaves just to give it a little bit more interest. So that is great with this. You can give it a prune around however much you want to, really quite good. They are good in all soil types. Part shade is probably where they are best, so a really excellent evergreen flowering perennial shrub for the springtime. Recently I set up an email newsletter, and if you want to sign up, then please click in the comments link below or scan the QR code on the screen now. If you sign up, you get an exclusive video. This is a video of me explaining colour combinations and plant combinations in real gardens. Then we have got this one here. So this is Coronilla, valentina, subspecies glauca citrina, big long name for this wonderful yellow flowering plant, and again it's really sweetly scented. Now it is flowering here, it has bud here, it has bud there, it's got bud there, it's got buds here. It is about to be absolutely covered in flower, but it is one of those shrubs which will continually flower. However, its main flowering time is sort of winter through the spring, which makes it really useful. It's a pea relative. It's got a completely different type of foliage to all of the other ones there, which were quite solid leaf. This is a delicate leaf, and it's also a sort of spreading out plant. This is one of those ones which doesn't need a lot of pruning, but occasionally you will get stems which go up and get a little bit bare at the bottom to try and encourage a little bit more shooting at the bottom. Just every now and again give it a little prune, and by a little prune either pinching out the top or going back down to another growth like this, and that will help it bush out and make more of a good shape. But it is a really fun plant at this time of the year, very, very sweet, and it's excellent. The beauty of this Coronilla is that if you do take some of these top pieces off and you get some really nice pieces that are lovely soft and take the flowers off, you can use those as tip cuttings. So remember, whenever you cut something off, if you can use it for propagation, absolutely brilliant. If you are worried about how to do propagation, then please do take a look at the propagation course we have available. So this one's a sunnier position, so this one is for a sunny wall or a sunny sheltered position. That's what it really likes to be. Slightly more free draining for its soil. You can grow it in a container absolutely fine. In fact, all of these will grow in containers, absolutely no problem at all. So you can use them as spring containers, putting somewhere to give you perfume, give you flower, giving you evergreen, and then you can move the containers or move the plants and put them into the garden where you want them to be in their final position. That's really up to you, but really great. So these ones are all in containers. We're going now to go and have a look in the garden at other plants that I've got which are in the ground, and we can see how they are growing there. Lonicera purpusii winter beauty is a fabulous spring early flowering shrub. Now this one is absolutely massive. It is due for a rosy cut down, which means I will be taking it right down to ground level. In fact, it is now two shrubs. There's one main bit there and another bit there, and that's because it has suckered and run underground slightly. But it is very good at coming back from being cut. So if you're having difficulty growing something in ground, this is actually quite a good thing. Now these beautiful creamy white flowers here are highly scented. It is usually buzzing with bees. It's a little bit cold today for them to be out and flowering, but this is a really good pollen and nectar plant for the early solitary bees and anything that is out because it's got warm for some reason. So these are excellent. It then loses all of its foliage as it comes into flower. And once it's finished flowering, then the foliage comes back again and you will end up with a really beautiful big shrub. Now, I'm not suggesting this is for the small garden. It does need quite a bit of space. It is at least 3 meters high and 3 meters across. And very shortly it is going to be 0 meters by 0 meters because I am really taking it right the way down to ground level. I am going to pull out the bits that have spread a little bit too far and just get it back into manageable proportions, and then for next winter it will be somewhere up here about 1 meter high, which will be absolutely brilliant. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Lonicera purpusii winter beauty, a fabulous, really perfumed plant. Oh, gorgeous. Now we're looking at Rosmarinus prostratus. Now this again is a fabulous plant for the spring and in fact all year round because it just makes a wonderful shrub. It grows up like this, and at the moment it's got all of its flower buds sitting there. In about another 2-3 weeks this is just going to be covered in pale blue, just looking fantastic. Now I've given it its old name, Rosmarinus. It's now in the Salvia family and I can't get my head around that, I'm sorry. Anyway, Salvia, Rosmarinifolius, and this one is repens, and that is because it comes down like this, and that is the beauty of it. It makes this wonderful mat that goes down. This one again is quite large. They're normally not going to get much above 80 centimeters in height, and then maybe a spread. This one's about 1 meter 50, so it is a really great thing. It comes down. I come out, I take pieces off, I use it for my cooking, so I'm pruning it a lot of the time, but it is at the point where it's going to need another, making it go back to being a good size. Now I have 2 of these in my front gravel garden. They get boiling hot sunshine and really dry in the summer, and then in the winter this gravel garden does get quite wet. Still gets some sunshine, but at this time of the day it's in shade, so it's only getting probably 4 hours of sunshine during the winter months. It's all it needs. It's absolutely fine. It is a brilliant plant, so really super form. You can grow it in a container or you can grow it in the ground. I think these are underrated plants for using as hedging, not necessarily this form, but the other forms of Salvia rosmarinus. I think they could all be utilised far more for hedging. Really good plants, and of course they're culinary. Plus you can also, if you like to, use them for flower arranging, because when they're in flower they're great. Let's take a look at a really beautiful shrub, and this is Hamamelis. Now, there are masses of different colours of these shrubs available to grow, and they are superb for winter, spring, early spring interest. These amazing yellow flowers with this dark sort of purple red in the middle here, and they are all on the edges here, and they do, a little bit cold today, they do have a perfume. It's witch hazel, so if you've ever used witch hazel liquid, it comes from this plant. This is Hamamelis mollis. This is just one of the species, but there are some beautiful orange ones out there, pale lemon ones. They are great for part shade, also for an area which is in a woodland setting, that type of thing. Some of them will grow as tall as this one. This one's going up to 1 metre, 2 metres, probably by about 2 metres, and it just gently gets bigger. It's one of those things that you do not prune too much. It's a soft prune, so if it's just getting a little bit too big or there's a bit of dead in there, you'd prune that out. Otherwise, you just let it grow and be an elegant shrub, which is just showing itself off with all its beauty at this really early springtime, and it's a fantastic plant. Hamamelis. Look out for some really wonderful ones out there. Here we have the beautiful catkins of Corylus avellana. This is the European hazel, and it's a fantastic shrub. Now, these are things that can be stooled right the way down. So this is growing up, creating wonderful shade, and in the spring you get these fabulous catkins, and if you're very lucky, every now and again you'll see the little red female flowers which are further up on the stem. I can't see any out on this one at the moment, but certain trees will put their catkins out first. Those will then pollinate another tree. They will have flowers out. Another one will not have its catkins out, but its flowers will be out. They are wind pollinated, so all of this pollen is just going to be floating around. Sorry if you have hay fever, but they need to get their pollen through and around all over the place. Occasionally bees will come out if they're out and get some of the pollen, but it's not high energy source, the pollen on this. So this is very much a wind pollinated shrub. Now we will stool them down. Now stooling down means you take all of the top growth and bring them down and make them into a big stool. Then they regrow. A lot of this is then used as shrubby growth for a lot of these sticks are then used as bean poles or for flower supports, and they make really good flower supports. You can just weave them around your flower beds so that you haven't got a huge amount of string and other things in there. So when you cut these down, remember, reuse all of the growth that is there. Corylus avellana, the native hazel, it is a beautiful thing to grow. So this is a coppiced, stooled down hazel. So these are where it's been cut to, and it will then regrow from this and make a beautiful fresh young shrub. So every 4 to 5 years we will take them down to this amount and then allow them to regrow. Corylus maxima, and this one is fantastic. So instead of yellow catkins, it has these beautiful red purple catkins, just really stunning plant. And this has purple leaf as well, so this is a fantastic one. This is a much younger plant, but I do love it. It is so beautiful, and the way the catkins just hang down when the sunlight hits these, they just look amazing. They light up and they're just opening, so this colour is superb. So this one also has interesting nuts when it forms as well. It is just great. So this is Rote Zellernuss, and it is really good. So because it's a Corylus maxima, the foliage is much larger than it is on the native one. But I just love these catkins in the spring. So beautiful, and they dance in the wind. If you enjoy these videos, then please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to watch another video of mine, YouTube thinks this one is perfect for you.